So let's introduce ourselves. I'm Tarun.
This is like an aside, but we forgot to do to sync at the beginning.
Oh yeah, the classic.
Okay.
That's right. How could we
like,
forget?
He's just going. I'm like, okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to our 4th episode of Offset, where we discuss films, games, and everything in between. Let's introduce ourselves. I'm Tarun.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Krishna.
And today we have quite a bit to catch up on, talk about. As some of you may have realized, we are posting this a bit later than our usual schedule. So sorry about that for anyone who really cares. And
there's like 2 people.
The 2 people out there, thank you so much for caring. We appreciate you. And part of the reason we delayed it was also because of the Ubisoft Forward conference, which we will be talking about later on. But I think first of all, let's talk about this very exciting news that got more coverage than I thought it would, and they revealed the PS5 box art featuring the Spider-Man Miles Morales game. What do you guys think of it, on how it looks? Would you do anything different?
I like it. It looks very striking. I think that's the first thing that I can say about it. It grabs your attention, I suppose.
I guess,
and it's a nice color scheme.
Yeah, it's got strong colors, the red, the white, and I feel like it's not that different from the PS4 one. It's just
it's
just a different character, and it's the same box art, and a more unified PS5 aesthetic with the black and white.
Yeah.
So
I think all they really changed is just, but they changed the blue to white and the white to black, and it's also to match the PS5 console, which is all white. I really hope this isn't just like further leading into it, like there's no inverted version. I still want that inverted version of a console.
Fun fact, actually, we'll get to obviously we'll talk about Jeff Keighley and his breakdown of the PS5 controller later on, but obviously one of the interesting little side sort of tidbits of information that came out of that was the guy from Sony who was on the call. He actually said, Jeff asked him about are we going to see different color schemes for the PS5, and he said, well, we're going to discuss that a little bit later. So obviously, if you're looking for a different color scheme than the white black they have going,
I do remember earlier on there was a UI designer, or UX designer, I should say, who did say that the PS5 is customizable. Now, he didn't specify what exactly is customizable, but a lot of people went straight to thinking that you can change the outer shells of it, like you can change the white maybe to a different skin. Some people thought like maybe you can change the UI experience of it. So it's not really clear, but most people gather it's you can change the shells of the PS5 for the skin. So maybe that's what they're discussing.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, this is actually got a lot more attention than I thought it would. It's like the box art.
Yeah, no big deal, right?
Yeah, it's a little strange because
Yeah.
Well,
I guess where this is coming from is because it's sort of like Sony's doing their marketing very bit by bit. So I guess it's like anything is like, wow, look at this.
I do want to talk
regarding the PS5.
Yeah.
Is it just a simple paint job, like changing the white to black, or do they actually change?
I think that what people assumed was, from when the UX designer said that it was customizable, I think what people assumed was that you can literally take the white out and put it in with a different thing, maybe like a custom one. This isn't confirmed. This is just what people are speculating from that one tweet this UX designer said. But it would be cool if that is a thing. I do want to talk a bit more about what was said more about the PS5 from Keighley's interview. So we'll move on now to Keighley's hands-on experience with the PS5 controller. So what do you think?
Well, I mean, again, repeating my point about the whole Sony doing their marketing bit by bit.
Yeah.
This is just like another part of that, I guess. It was kind of a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't know he was doing it until like quite late on. So I was kind of like, okay, wow, he's doing this. I'll check this out.
Yeah, he just posted an Instagram, I think, one day, or a tweet, and I was just like, oh, and I instantly shared it with you guys, like, guys,
because he's doing, you know, the Summer Games Fest, I think it's called. So he's obviously is like part of that.
Yeah. I mean,
I
what do you think of the
you know, obviously
the side-by-side comparison with the PS5 controller and the PS4 controller? Like, I know it wasn't much to go on in terms of size, but obviously there's a clear difference in terms of shape, and I
think
it will be fitting better in their hands. Like, yeah,
The top half looks slightly bigger,
yes,
right?
Yeah, it is sort of, because like I think it's important we discuss like his general impressions of the controller, which I think were pretty positive. He seemed kind of like, wow, I seem to remember him saying like, oh, I've never really like used a controller like this before in my life, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, he said, what was it? It was the haptic feedback was his main takeaway, I think. Like, it really transformed the experience for him. Just to clarify to everyone that the game he was demoing to test out the controller was Astrobots. Is it Astrobots?
It's Astro's Playroom. Which will be free with every PS5 console that comes out.
Yeah.
And as a very interesting side note, Sony is increasing production of the PS5. Apparently, they're making more units than they thought they were originally. Which is interesting.
I mean, it's still not much. It's still not much, in my opinion.
Yeah, compared to your usual, but
no, it's not even their usual rate. Like, I think I looked this up as well, but I'm not gonna say this is fact. But from what I remember, the PS4 launch sales were like 18.5 million units, and that was the PS4. And I think to this date, it is the best-selling console of all time.
No, PS2. I think PS2 is still the top.
Initially, they planned on releasing only 5 to 6 million units of the PS5. And now they said they've doubled that up to 10 million units on launch for the PS5. So I still don't think that's enough considering at their past launch sales. Like, this is quite low. So I'm pretty sure we can expect to see it being sold out, and I wouldn't be surprised, really.
But the thing was, obviously during Keighley's whole thing, whole presentation about the controller and stuff, he did ask, you know, because obviously there was some news early on this week where people saw that some sort of landing page on Amazon had gone live in terms of, you know, you can pre-order the PS5. Apparently there was even some people went to stores and lined up waiting for it, which apparently Sony had no idea where that came from, and it was really weird. But they did say, you know, if you want to pre-order, we will let you know when it sort of goes live beforehand. We're not just gonna like job you in it and say, you know, here, everyone for himself, you know, that all the, I think they call them scalpers, you know, you guys know what those are. You know, they just buy like tons of them and then try to sell it to people afterwards for like a higher price.
Exactly.
So it's sort of like, we're not going to do that for you. You know, if we're going to go live with the pre-orders, we're going to let you know beforehand. So
no,
I hope it doesn't run out though.
Yeah, they said we will. They did say they'll let you know well before the release date, like of when, and well before when the pre-orders actually go live, of when exactly the pre-order will happen. So that's good to know. Hopefully that means like we're getting closer, like we're getting way closer to the date where they'll finally reveal the price of the PS5, which I think is on everyone's mind. And yeah,
I mean,
I really think they're going to go first.
Sorry, what's that?
Or are they going to wait for do you really think they're going to go first? Or just
I think they're trying as hard as they can not to go first. All the Xbox.
Someone's gonna go for it, you know.
I know. Xbox seems pretty confident.
Someone's gonna go for it eventually.
Phil Spencer seems really confident with his product right now. He was. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
I
I
mean,
think,
they might still have a good enough uh, advantage or just level playing field if they release the PS5 at the same price the PS4 was, or maybe $50 or to $100 more. I think that would be
I think
okay for
that's
them.
generally what they're aiming at. Is like it's going to be like roughly $100 more. I think it's going to be. That's the rumor.
Yeah.
the
The
rumor
PS4 was
Anyway,
about
like
what, $499,
$399,
$500, or no,
$399,
$300.
$399.
Okay, so 400.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, they should be okay in that if they keep it in about that price.
yeah.
I mean,
but-
obviously, a lot of people have been speculating, how much it's going to cost and all that kind of stuff. But like, the thing is, I will say that one of the only things that's like, obviously, the price is like a big thing that's stopped me from pre-ordering whenever that page goes live.
yeah.
The other thing is like first generation hardware. If what happens, and I don't see that, there's a possibility like something's going to happen. For example, like when people get their PS5s, like the first thing, it's suddenly like, oh, we're going to have like, the Samsung kind of thing happen where it like blows up
No.
or something like that. So I'm like, I don't really want that to happen to me. So I'm kind of like, maybe I'll just wait.
I mean,
Um,
I think the worst that's ever happened was with the Xbox 360, where a lot of people get that red ring of death, where their Xbox will stop working and they
it's-
can never get it back
Exactly,
to working
yeah.
condition.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's been a while since that something like that has happened to a console. The only thing I'm worried about
I'm
is
thinking
that it's not going to
Nintendo
be.
Switch.
You're going to be what?
I'm thinking like when I'm thinking like hardware malfunction, I'm thinking Nintendo Switch because they have the problem with the controller still about it
Yeah.
drifting after a while. I'm kind of like they still
Yeah.
haven't fixed that,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I'm
that's
kind of like,
happened with my
okay, I don't
controller.
want something like that to happen.
I mean,
So-
if that were to happen with PS5, I wouldn't really mind as much, only because I can get a newer controller. I mean, in terms of like, hopefully they'll have it fixed for a newer controller, and then I can just get that controller and get it over with. The problem with Nintendo is that have they even fixed it yet? They haven't, right?
No, I don't think they have. There's some
Right.
lawsuit going on because there's always going to be a lawsuit about this kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, but
the confusing thing about that was that it happened to the Nintendo Switch Lite as well, and the controllers on that are like integrated fully into the actual
Yeah.
console because it's kind of confusing about why. But
Yeah. See, if they
Yeah.
also with the first generation hardware for PS5, I am little on the fence of getting it too, because as you said, first generation isn't always like a guarantee like it'll be an amazing product, because they'll always come up with the optimized version or slimmer version later on. Or hopefully they don't
Yeah.
I do not want them to do a PS5 Pro. Like that'll just be insanely ridiculous. I hope that doesn't happen. Although with the PS4 first generation, it really wasn't that bad. There are plenty of people with the PS4 first generation that are still running to this day. So I don't know.
yeah, exactly. You make a good point.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't think I'm that worried about it. So yeah, we'll see. But I will wait a few days just to see what's going on. Let's see if someone's house is.
Let me
blown
put
up
it
or
this way,
something.
because I know, like, let me just put it this way, because I know with PS3 they changed
Yeah.
the design after a while. With
Yeah.
PS4 they changed the design after a while. So like, is that going to happen to the PS5? Like following that kind of pattern?
Yeah, but
'Cause,
can
like,
you really wait?
I know
a
what you're saying
year?
about the original PS4, and I love the original PS4 because the design is not bad, like you say. But then, like
Yeah.
when you compare it to the Slim, I'm
Yeah.
like, the Slim looks better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm kind of like,
but like it's really also about like, can you really wait like a year or two until inevitably that slim version comes out?
yeah, no, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah.
mean-
Also, yeah, we might not be able to review some PS5 games after launch because we will be waiting to see what happens. Anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand of what we initially started with, was the PS5 controller and Keighley's hands-on impression with it. And like I said, like I think the biggest takeaway that Keighley mentions is the haptic feedback. And like Tim mentioned, like when Keighley says it's the experience he has with the controller is unlike any other controller he's ever held, which I believe he mentions it's due to the haptic feedback. And of course he brings up the adaptive triggers with the same example of a bow on a bow and arrow. So yeah, I mean, it looks promising. So we'll see.
I mean, I will say that the presentation was, to me, slightly awkward just because he was always like holding up the controller and he's like, can you guys hear this? Can you guys hear this? Can you guys like, see it's doing that? Can you guys see it's doing that? And I'm kind of like on the video saying, well, no, I can't actually hear you. Like, I can't hear what the controller's doing and I can't see what the triggers are doing. So I'm kind of like,
to be fair,
I'm just going to take your word for it that this is happening. But
yeah. To be fair,
no,
Keighley is not the only one who has had this hands-on impression. He is one of the first people to have this hands-on experience. But I think IGN recently released a video as well about it, with their experience with the controller, and I think there are a few more as well. It's just that we happen to have all just watched the Keighley one because he's Keighley. Why aren't you gonna watch him?
I will say, I don't know how I feel about Astro's Playroom, but
hey,
PS5
it's free.
gameplay.
It's free.
It's free. So
is this the second?
Like, no offense to the guys who make it, but it's like, that game that you try once and then never play again, isn't it?
Is this would Astro's Playroom technically be PS5's second gameplay ever shown?
What was the first?
What was the first? Yeah,
Godfall.
Yeah,
right?
what was the first? Oh yeah, maybe yeah, right. Godfall.
I think it's Godfall.
The Unreal Engine demo was technically.
But it's not a game with a.
I mean, okay, well, kind of like that. Anyways, so yeah, looking forward to getting our hands on that, no doubt, whenever that comes out. So
cool. Okay, do we want to move on to Night City Wire?
Yes, let's.
Yeah, let's do it.
So CD Projekt Red recently had their stream of Night City Wire. It's their first episode of I don't know how many. I think there's only about 3 or 4. And yeah, they showed quite a bit of the Cyberpunk game, and honestly, it's got me much more excited than I initially was. There's a lot to take in for what they showed, so I'm only looking forward to what else they have to show in their future episodes.
Cyberpunk, now that Last of Us Part 2 is like come out, probably my most anticipated game for the rest of this year, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
there's
me
others,
too.
but that's probably like up there.
Yeah.
And I will say that they're I remember seeing like a lot of gaming outlets. I mean, obviously not us because we have like 2 people listen to this. Okay, so that's why. But a lot of gaming outlets, they had like I think it was like a preview, the first 2 hours, the first 4 hours, something like that, and it was all really positive. So obviously they still have to play the rest of the game, but that's a good sign. I mean, it looks really good. So
yeah, the 4-hour preview is what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like, was it 4 hours? Yeah, I think it was 4 hours.
But I think
so. That was all really positive. So
yeah, after they showed, I think the brain dance, I was pretty bored. Like, I'm sure it's great, but all it reminded me of was like the Arkham Knight detective mode. Arkham Knight first introduced in Arkham Origins, which also wasn't that fun in that game. It was just like a gimmick which didn't really work for that thing. So I hope you don't have to do too much of it, or maybe it's better than I think it is. So we'll see. But they went into, I think they showed off a bit more. They showed off a bit more of the different paths you can take. Or am I confusing that with a preview?
there was something about that, wasn't there? They were showing off something that you can take different paths, and even I think it was with the preview, because I think what we noted was between outlets they had taken very different approaches to their characters and sort of their approaches to combat and how they approach missions and stuff like that, and it was like very wide ranging. Like I know they were talking a lot about all the different combinations, the different permutations of how just like one specific mission could go, obviously based on your character V's background, and all sorts of like what kind of play style they had, and sort of like how does it varies a lot. That's the impression I got. So
I think after the previews happened, like when the game journalists and other gamers got to experience the first 4 hours of the game, they got to talk more in detail about the different paths you can take of the game. And yeah, it's very different. Like it's surprisingly different, and surprisingly like how much depth there is and how much meaning there is in terms of which path you go with and how it affects your gameplay or your narrative later on in the game. Like I think one of the very two opposite ones are the corporate, which is also known as corporate, and the street kid. And it's very different because I think as a street kid you have a lot of backstory and background and connections with the gangsters of Night City. You can be close to them, you have connections around the city, you're street smart and everything. With the corporate, it's the opposite. It's like you have connections with people in higher up companies. You have the opportunity to like take missions in a way where you can talk your way through stuff in a way that you would say like you have information that can blackmail this character, so that could twist them and turn them into working for you rather than against you. So it's very interesting how that works. The only different one I think which doesn't really relate to do is kind of in the middle is the nomad, where you are from what I remember they said it's like you're an outsider, you come from the Badlands which is located outside Night City, and once you enter Night City, you're new, you don't know anyone, there's more to it.
I would say like my overall impressions of Cyberpunk 2077, following all the marketing and all that kind of stuff, either this game is going to do everything the developers say it's going to do. So it's going to be exactly as advertised, and it's going to give you all this choice, all this variety, and it's going to be probably one of the best games ever made. Either that's going to happen, or it's going to be incredibly mediocre. They don't manage to do it, and it's going to like fizzle out. Like, and I don't know which one it's kind of going for yet.
I really hope there's a lot of hype behind this game. And I have a feeling, which I hope is not true, like the hype is gonna kill a lot of the quality of the game. Like people are gonna have way too high of an expectation for this game.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
but that's why I am trying really hard to keep my expectations in check. Like initially it's very easy for me because I wasn't much into it when they first revealed it, but after this Night City Wire event, it's definitely got me more interested and more hyped about the game coming out.
There's also an anime, which we haven't talked about.
That's right. Yeah. It's called Cyberpunk Edge Runners, which will be out in 2022. So
that's Netflix, right? I think.
Yeah, they're working with Netflix and I think a new anime studio in Japan.
That was the other part of the sort of Night City Wire episode. They just had like a couple of Japanese guys on there, and they were like, "Yeah, we're loving this."
We should move on now to another big conference that happened just last week, actually. Also, because one of the reasons we ended up deciding to delay this podcast was just so we could talk about the Ubisoft Forward conference. And they showed some stuff. They showed But I wouldn't say it really hyped me up on much of anything. They showed Watch Dogs Legion. They showed Far Cry 6, and later, then after we go over those, we'll be talking about the Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay footage. But first things first, let's go over Watch Dogs Legion. From the little bit of footage you saw about the gameplay, has your opinion or excitement changed at all over the game?
I mean, not really, to be honest. I mean, they did show a trailer that was pretty cool, just in terms of visuals. But I'm not sure if I'm really gonna buy into the whole model where you can just play as anyone off the street. Does that kind of make sense? I know I was saying that.
Why is that?
I know
thought
I
it was
said
an
it.
interesting element.
Yeah, I mean, because obviously we said this in previous podcasts, I think, that obviously it's a cool system. But then, because there isn't really, I think the implication is that you'll go through quite a few characters over the course of sort of one playthrough. So whether or not you have that kind of emotional connection that you would have if there was just one person, you just play as one specific character over the course of the whole story. Mm-hmm. That's like, I still have that concern. I don't know. I don't see how they're going to address that. Does that kind of make sense? Because now you're not playing as like one person.
Having that many characters, I think, might be a problem to get invested into, as you might say, and also there might not be enough depth to each character to really care for them.
It is a new thing. We haven't really seen this happen before in such a big way. So we'll see, I guess, how they decide to make this work.
I mean, I will say that at least we are going to find out sooner rather than later, because they moved the release date up. They moved the release date forward rather than backward, which has been the unfortunate recent trend for video games, is to move it backward. But now this is forward, so
I wouldn't say this hyped me up or did anything for me by showing all this footage. Like, it just kind of showed what we already knew. Nothing really new over there.
So Watch Dogs Legion, that'll be out 29th October.
But yeah, let's move on. We got an official announcement on Far Cry 6, and we got a look at who our villain is going to be, which is, I can never remember the actor's name, but he is Gus from Breaking Bad, if anyone knows.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Esposito is his name.
Yeah, I'm not going to try and pronounce that.
Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah, I think Krishna has it. Some of you also recognize him as the big bad in The Mandalorian Season 1.
But yeah, he's a phenomenal actor. Great. He plays a very good, chilling villain. He can do a lot for this character he's playing right now in the game. Although, like, there's a bit of a hint of, like, maybe he's not in the game as much as we think he might be. Like, how?
Why do you say that?
Because in the trailer they also show the kid, so I don't know if the kid is gonna at some point take over or something. I don't know. This is just my theory or speculation of the game.
The worst thing they could do is waste him, just because, because wow. Obviously, before the conference even happened, Far Cry 6 was leaked, and then Ubisoft sort of said, well, here, we teased it a little bit. Look forward to it in the Ubisoft Forward conference.
No. I liked how they did it. I liked how they did it. Like, once it was leaked, Far Cry 6 was happening, they straight up revealed the villain and just said, Anton is not pleased.
I'm looking forward to this game. We haven't seen a lot of it, but that announcement trailer it's really good. That announcement trailer. We didn't see it, obviously. Obviously, I think we all know that Far Cry as a franchise, it needs a bit more. It needs to have the life put back into it. Does that kind of make sense? And I think, maybe this has a chance of doing that.
The CGI was really good. I loved it. He looked really lifelike in that trailer. But the kid wasn't, oddly enough.
Yeah, faces are the hardest thing you can do in any CGI situation. The environment that they sort of teased, I think they said it is an island, but it looks more like an urban city, like more of an urban
inspired
setting.
by Cuba is what they said. So
inspired by Cuba, yeah. So it's very interesting. It's a lot more different than what you'd be usually used to in a Far Cry game. And I think this game definitely needs something to bring life back into its franchise. Ever since Far Cry 3, it hasn't really been that great. At best, it's been, I guess, mediocre, or
They've sort of been doing the same thing over and over again. Does that kind of say? Because Far Cry 3, they had that amazing villain. They were just like, we'll just repeat that and just do it. They did a bit more about the character this time. I think they said your character's name is Ramos or something like that, and you can play as male or female. Like, I don't really like the gender choice doesn't really matter to me, but I'm kind of like, as long as they voice the character and actually give him some personality, you know what I mean?
Let's move on to the next game that they really highlighted for this conference, which is the Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay. And yes, people, we got actual gameplay footage, not that bullshit in-game footage they showed last time, which they try to pass off as gameplay. No, fuck that. That was, just fuck that. now we actually got something, and I gotta say, after watching everything they had to show, I am not that impressed. I guess I should be impressed by the scale of it, but just in terms of what I've seen in terms of the concept and what's been happening, it doesn't look like they're offering anything new.
I remember seeing someone say that it sort of looked more like, what was the comparison they made? They said it looks more like Witcher than actually like Assassin's Creed, which is which is kind of strange.
True.
It can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. Yeah, it really depends how they are approaching it. Because full disclosure, I did look at the leaks that came out of this game. There were no spoilers in it, so it was all right. And most of the stuff they showed for this conference is what was in the leaks. Some of it wasn't, but most of it was. And yeah, I think back then, I think I was watching it with another friend of mine, and we had the same comparison. Like, it looks a lot like Witcher. And I really hope it doesn't play all like Witcher. Like, I love Witcher, but that's Witcher. I want to spend my time playing a game like Witcher with Witcher 3. But yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared for this game. I want this game to be good, but I don't think it'll be good.
I'm gonna be honest with you right now, I'm not that interested in it.
Yeah.
I was really underwhelmed by the review, and now I'm just like, okay, well.
So basically, it's a good-looking game, but without heart, I guess.
I think they kind of lost their direction with Assassin's Creed shortly after Origins, I feel like Origins, they sort of had it, but with Odyssey, I think they just kind of went off the rail. And I'm not saying Odyssey is a bad game. It's a good game, but it goes against everything established about the Assassin's Creed lore. So the lore is kind of all over the place now. Nothing makes sense. You can tell, like, they're just for filling time. I can't say I'm excited. I think that's my overall expression. Like, it's not. It doesn't have me hooked at all.
I mean, I will say, like, my approach to it is just we're gonna have to see how it turns out, because it's right now I'm not impressed. But maybe part of that is just because there's a lot coming out over the next few months. So maybe it's like, okay, well, they're just doing another RPG. It's kind of like, okay, well, I'm not that interested in another RPG right now. Does that kind of make sense? Because it's kind of like, oh, there's a lot coming out.
I mean, I think the thing that really pisses me off about this game is that Ubisoft promised, like, oh, we're going back to the roots of what is Assassins, right? Like, and the only thing they teased about that was a hidden blade. And even that was like, sure, like, you brought the hidden blade back. Like, when was that gone? Like 2 games ago? Like, yeah, but like, I don't know. I guess the only thing that actually stood out to me from the gameplay is the stealth. That actually looks interesting, and that does have me somewhat interested in the overall game, but it's not enough. But yeah, again, we'll see. And like I said earlier, I wanted to talk about this because it's the dumbest thing I think Ubisoft has ever done. Is they have set the release date for Assassin's Creed Valhalla to November 17th, 2 days before Cyberpunk 2077. Gee, I don't know who will win that week of launches.
I mean, Valhalla is not going to come out well from that. I don't know who dreamed that up. It's a really silly move. I don't know what was going on there, what was going on in marketing and all that kind of stuff, but they're like, 2 days before one of the biggest RPGs of the year, let's drop this game, which, doesn't look that impressive. Sure, why not? I mean, games are getting more expensive. People don't have as much money. Sure, this is going to turn out well for the company. I don't see how you can reach that conclusion. You know what I mean?
If they come out with a statement like, the launch did like surprisingly like less than our expected sale numbers. Like all I'm going to imagine is that surprised Pikachu face.
Or maybe this is just about getting eyeballs on the game and letting people who might not get a copy of Cyberpunk to buy this game instead.
If they want people to do that, they're going to have to do their marketing way better than they're doing it right now. Let me just tell you that. If they want people to do that, then, well, you guys need to step it up like several levels. The thing with Valhalla is like, when it comes down to that November sort of time period, like which game do I get? I'm sort of like, well, maybe should I get Cyberpunk or should I get Valhalla? Or, instead of playing Valhalla, I could just go play Odyssey again, which I'm not expecting to be that different. So I'm like, maybe I'll just do that. I already have the game here. So I'm like, sure, why not? Haven't played it in a while.
I think this year my Assassin's Creed appetite has been filled by Ghost of Tsushima. So I don't really need that right now. Maybe I can wait a year.
Yeah.
Overall, in conclusion, I think none of us are really that excited for Valhalla. And the overall Ubisoft conference was pretty mediocre.
I mean, I hope they surprise me, but I don't think Valhalla is going to surprise me, to be frank.
They just had a bunch of games that looked really similar, including Valhalla. So
let's move on. Let's get into our movie and TV section of our podcast, and the first thing we want to talk about is the news coming from the Fast and Furious 9 movie. Ludacris from the film commented saying that I think his name is Ludacris. Whatever. He said something about the movie going up into space. Yeah.
So the question is, would you like a Fast and Furious? Would you go watch a Fast and Furious in space?
Are you kidding me? Of course I would go watch.
I would.
Yeah.
Hell,
come on.
At this point, like my appetite for movies has become so big that I will watch anything.
To give the Fast and Furious franchise some points is that I think they realize what they are at this point, that they don't take themselves that seriously anymore. At least after Fast and Furious 4. I think since Fast 5, they've been like kind of making fun of themselves a bit, which is great.
I mean, let me ask you this question. Let me just ask you this question, Turin. At what point did you think they just decided to make fun of themselves? Was it somewhere between we're going to do a bank heist with cars and we're going to drive a car between two skyscrapers? Or was it the parachuting cars that gave you the clue? Somewhere. It's really subtle, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, the point is, they don't take themselves as seriously anymore. I believe the only person in the entire cast that even takes the entire franchise fully serious is Vin Diesel. Like, I guess it's just the way he acts in the movie. He takes his role so seriously. He goes so deep. Like dude, you have cars like going all over the place behind you, right? You can't be doing this.
Did I mention car versus submarine? Because they did that as well.
I forgot about that.
You remember that? Yeah. when it comes to Vin Diesel, I can't always understand him when he speaks. He has like a particular way of speaking, and I can't always like understand it.
Anyway, I think the fact this movie, well, we don't even know if it's a fact yet, but the possibility this movie is going into space might be some exciting news to some people, because I believe Vin Diesel commented quite some while ago, like more than 5 years ago maybe, that he said they will not stop making Fast and Furious movies until they go up to space. Now it's going up to space. So, last movie?
Yeah.
Last Fast and Furious movie, guys?
This is not gonna be the last movie. I swear you're gonna see like there's gonna be at least 3 more in development, like right now probably, and it's just gonna be like, oh, in the next one we're gonna do racing on Mars, racing on the moon.
As many as they can churn out, right? It's like Mission Impossible, but bad.
I wouldn't say bad. It's just camp.
Okay, anyway, let's move on to our next news. It was recently announced that Matt Reeves' Batman film will have a spin-off HBO Max TV show based on the GCPD of that world. So what do you guys think about that?
That might be cool. Jim Gordon. They might have Jim Gordon as the main character then, right?
Wasn't that the point of Gotham though?
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna bring up Gotham. The Gotham TV show, I remember, it sounds basically like the setting is the same, but because this is a spin-off of the Matt Reeves Batman, maybe it'll be good this time. Gotham was just very boring.
My reaction to this is sort of like, yay, they're making another spin-off set in the Batman universe, but it doesn't actually have Batman in it again. So I watch it, but I'm like,
I mean, he is in it this time. It's just that the only place you'll see him are the movies. I mean, I'm not excited for it, but I might check out a few episodes.
It might be really good. You never know, but
What baffles me is that they have so much good IP in the DC universe, but they can't figure out how to use them.
Krishna raises a good point there, actually, because about them they have all this great IP and they don't really know how to use it. Yeah, I agree with that. It's just, in terms of like interesting concepts they could take in the DC universe to make TV shows, and this is sort of what they come up with. And it's sort of like, and even this is like, haven't they already done this before with Gotham, kind of? So it's just kind of, why don't you just, it's not exactly hard to find other stuff to, sort of cover, if you like.
It's not hard, there's this movie I saw yesterday called The Old Guard, and that is based on a property in Image Comics. So it's basically just a bunch of Wolverine soldiers. Not they don't have the claws, but they heal, and they don't die, and they can heal from injuries pretty quick. So yeah, that's an Image Comics property, and they made a good enough movie out of it. And so I'm wondering why they can't do the same with other DC properties.
Okay. I wanted to go back to the point about you guys talking about the using different DC properties for their TV shows or movies. I've been trying to get you guys to watch Doom Patrol. That is a DC TV show and is doing exceptionally well. It has an amazing cast. They got the acting on that show is incredible. They got Brendan Fraser to play Robot Man. Got Matt Bomer for Negative Man. April Bowery for Elastigirl. Danielle Gorel, I can't say her last name, but she's Crazy Jane, and I think hers is the most appealing because Crazy Jane has 64 different personalities, and she's switching between these personalities every few minutes throughout the show. And yeah, it speaks ranges for her acting talent, and yeah, she does exceptionally well. But yeah, dude, the entire premise of Doom Patrol is so out of this world. Like, so crazy, you constantly question yourself. about what the hell you're watching and how have the writers done such an incredible job that it all just makes sense. Like, it still makes sense, but in a weird way, but like, it shouldn't make sense, but it does make sense. Like, but definitely watch Doom Patrol. So if you guys have this complaint about them not using other DC properties for their shows, like, this is one of the ones that they are using really well, and you guys should definitely check out. It is on DC Universe, and now it's like shared between DC Universe and HBO Max, so their budgeting has gone up. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything we wanted to cover, and
there isn't really a lot going on right now.
There isn't. There isn't a lot. We only have.
Well, I mean, there is, but sure.
Yeah, I mean, we only have this much to talk about because we delayed our podcast by a week.
We were even going to delay it a bit further. You remember that? Just so we could talk about the Xbox thing, which is next week. But
yeah, but I guess we'll have to.
We'll
do
talk
that
about that next
podcast.
month. So yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what have you guys been doing?
Any new games you've been playing? Not me, actually. I took a break from Call of Duty.
Wow, Krishna, he's finally hanging up his body armor and his guns. He's taking a break.
That's unusual for me. Because I played Call of Duty almost every 2 days and spent hours on it, but this week I didn't feel it.
Yeah, just in case, Krishna's just letting us get more kills for ourselves.
Yeah.
He's like, he's not wiping out the entire enemy team for us.
I guess for me, Ghost of Tsushima, I got it. I started it. Been playing it all day yesterday and today, and so far it's been amazing. Like, I'm having a blast with it. The world is amazing. Getting through the story is a bit hard, not because the story is bad, just because there's so much other things to do within the world of Tsushima.
I mean, yeah, I got it as well, and I haven't played nearly as much as Turin has, but so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. I've only played a little bit, like I said, but what I've played, I've enjoyed. Possibly at this early stage, it's really hard to say what we're going to rate it, how we're going to review it, but early signs are very positive. So yeah, that's
and I think a lot of people speculate it's like the Assassin's Creed, which Ubisoft never made. And as an Assassin's Creed fan myself, I'd say there's some truth to it, but also, it's like, it's way beyond. It's still very different from Assassin's Creed that you can't really call it that.
I remember seeing there was a comment on Reddit I saw, which was like, it's more Assassin's Creed than the Assassin's Creed Ubisoft is making right now. So it's kind of like, I don't know if I agree with that, but it's like, okay.
Well, that's pretty much all we had to discuss. If you found our conversation even somewhat interesting, consider giving us a like. Subscribe to keep up on our latest videos and articles. And the best place to find everything we're up to, follow us on our Instagram and Twitter at Presso2Couch. Again, thank you very much for listening, and good day, good night, and goodbye.